Hello and welcome, everybody. Good evening. I am Terry Kay of the Jewish Grandparents Network. Thank you so much for joining us tonight for Improvise Your Seder, how games and play can make Passover memorable for grandchildren and families. We so appreciate that you made time to join us tonight. Thank you for being here. First, a big thank you to Sarah Reed, our JGN colleague, who is helping us facilitate. As Sarah has shared in chat how you can turn on captions for those of us who wish to use that feature. And I also do want to let you know that we are recording tonight's session, and we will send you the recording tomorrow in a follow-up email. Our plan is that from now until around 7:55, Andrew Davies, our facilitator, our leader tonight, will share with us a ton of great ideas for making this the best Seder ever. Then, for about 15 minutes after that, we invite you to stay on, and we'll talk amongst ourselves. You can share ideas that have worked so well for you and your own grandchildren. And now it is my great pleasure to introduce Andrew Davies, who co-founded the Bible Players. They are the premier Jewish education comedy team. They've been around since 2011. The Bible Players have performed in well over 1,000 camps, synagogues, schools across the United States. I know them personally, Aaron Friedman, Andrew Davies, and they are just wonderful human beings. So Andrew has training in improvisation and is passionate about bringing those skills to Jewish values and biblical stories. His creation of Mitzprov as a way to deepen Jewish joy and connection has transformed Jewish communities and Jewish education. Andrew was the winner of the Young Pioneer Award from the Jewish Education Project and the Pomegranate Prize from the Covenant Foundation. He's also the co-founder of Carrick Tours, theatrical walking tours where the past visits you. And we'll send you all these links in our follow-up email tomorrow so you can check Andrew out. And may I turn it over to you, Andrew, with all our thanks for leading us tonight.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Terry and Sarah, for having me here. And thank you to all of you for coming out and spending a little bit of time together to play and learn together. Terry, I've known for many years, and I'm just amazed by her work. And I love in this new role how she's bringing all this amazing content to all of us. So I want to start with a game before we talk. We're going to play a little game together, okay? And we're going to be playing a lot of games tonight. And this game is called Close Objects. Close Objects, okay? And this is a fun one on Zoom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have an object really close to the camera and slowly move it away. And I want you to type in the chat if you figure out what the object is, okay? So it's a race. All right, we ready? Okay, here we go. All right, I'm going to slowly move it back. Type in the chat when you think you know what it is. I think a lot of you are going to know what it is. Oh, people are guessing. Oh, I think Carol got it first. It's Bluey. It's Bluey. I don't know if I'm the only fan, but I love Bluey. That's a great one. All right, let's play with another one. Now that you're getting good at this. Here we go. We ready? Matzah. Yeah, it is matzah, but that's not all it is. Cartoon. Yeah. It's a book. Ah, what I like about Passover. This is a wonderful book that I love. A fun one. A board book. Yes, for the little ones. All right, and let's do one final close-up object. All right, now that you've got the idea and you're so good at this game. Here we go. Oh, Barbara is so fast. Oh my goodness, some of you figured it out. A Kiddush cup. That's right. This is the special one for me. You may see the initials there, AS. That's Abraham Sternbach, my great grandfather who immigrated to America. So I love that I have this Kiddush cup of his. Thank you for playing with me. Give yourselves a round of applause. Great job. That's the Close Objects game. a really fun and simple one. Obviously, a game for Zoom, not really for in person, but a great one to play on Zoom. So, thank you all so much for playing with me. My name is Andrew again, if you're just joining us. And as Terry said, I'm the co founder of the Bible Players. And our goal as the Bible Players is really to use improv and comedy to bring Judaism and Jewish values and Jewish stories to life. And so, my goal tonight is to really share some of the tools, some of the activities, some of the games, some of the approaches that I love connected to Pesach, to Passover, to some of the themes of this holiday. And my challenge to you, my goal for each and every one of you on this call, there's 113 of you right now. My goal for each of you, and this is what I want you to tuck in the back of your mind, is to really come out of here with one activity that you're excited to share with your grandkids, one activity that you're excited to share this year. So that's your goal. If you loved that first game, great. Mission accomplished. Now it's just gravy. We're going to have a lot more, though. We're going to play a lot together, and we're going to share a lot of resources for more you can learn later, as we only have a little bit of time together. We're going to be sharing our guide to Mitzprov, both online and in person, which, as Terry said, is really our creation of learning mitzvot through improv. Really, our belief over the 12 years we've been doing this, really, that we can really practice our Jewish values, practice our mitzvot by doing improv. So, a question we would love to put in the chat, Sarah, to kind of get us started and get us thinking about the theme of tonight is what is your favorite part of the Seder and why did you choose that? So I would love if folks wanted to share in the chat, what is your favorite part of the Seder? Maybe it's obvious to you. Maybe you've got 10 favorite parts and it's hard to pick your favorite child. Hallel, the singing, says Barbara. Wonderful. Singing Dayenu. Magid, the telling of the story. Wonderful. The 10 plagues. 4 questions. Questions and discussion. I love that. Oh, Mindy Edelman. Yes, hello. Pharaoh. Wonderful. Echad mi yodea. Yeah, because your dad uses the South African tune, Terry. Amazing. The children doing Manish Tana. Oh, what a special time it is when you're old enough to do Manish Tana. Elaine dressing up as the characters. Amazing. You can teach us as well about how to bring the Passover to life. Amazing. Wonderful. So keep the answers coming in while I just share a little bit about me. So as Terry said, my name's Andrew Davies, and I'm an improviser, an educator, and facilitator. And I was born and raised in Philadelphia. Proudly went to Schechter, which is now Perlman, a Jewish day school, and then went to a pluralistic Jewish high school, Akiba, which is now Barak Hebrew Academy. And after college, really found myself in New York City, where I was studying improvisation, improv theater, and also doing Jewish education. So working at religious schools. I worked at Ramah Nyack, a summer camp that many of you may know. There's a lot of Ramahs around. And I really started to feel in my mind that there was a kind of conversation between the Jewish values that I was raised with and the values of improv that I really learned at the Magnet Theater in New York City, the values of community, of collaboration, of creating together, of listening to each other, really bringing things to life in a special way. And so the Bible Players grew out of wanting to bring those loves together. And that's really, I think, why I'm here tonight, is to encourage us to bring play and theatricality and silliness and joy and community to our Seders. And in many ways, they're already there. And I just want to give you some more tools to get there tonight. So I wanted to, as we think about the Seder, and I asked you kind of what was your favorite part of the Seder, to think about the order of the Seder. And a lot of you may know this song, but some of you may not. Oh, Marcy, you were at Nyack. The first year was open. Amazing. So fun. We were ships crossing in the night if we missed each other. So we're going to do the order of the Seder. If you know this song, do the hand gestures along with me. But I love this one. This really helps us, a great way to just physicalize the order of the Seder in the song, and you can keep coming back to it as something you do. So it goes like this. Kadesh Urchatz, washing our hands. Kadesh Urchatz, Karpas, dipping the Karpas. Yachatz, breaking the matzah. Try it along with me if you can. Magid, telling the story. Rachza, Motzi matzah, everyone's favorite food. Maror, bitter, oh, bitter herbs. Korech, the sandwich. Shulchan orech. Tzafun, we're looking. Afikoman. Barech. Hallel nirtzach. Oh, so hopefully that brought back some memories of some of those. And let's do it one more time. I won't pause to translate each one this time, but just do it again. And this is a fun one. You can watch this again later if you want to do this with your kids, but a fun one to come back to see where we are in the Seder. You ready? Here we go. Kadesh Urchatz, Karpas Yachatz, Magid Rachza, Motzi Matzah. Maror korech, shulchan orech, tzafun barech, hallel nirtzah. Oh, we're sleeping. Wonderful. So hopefully playing that didn't put you to sleep, but woke you up a little bit. So a lot of you probably know the word Seder means order, right? A Seder means order. And so there is that traditional order to the Seder. And as all of you are here as grandparents, and some of you may know, I have a 1 and a 3-year-old myself. You may have seen Miller, my 3-year-old, sneaking away before he's getting ready for bedtime. That 1 and 3-year-olds, and maybe your grandkids, don't have the longest attention span in the world. That maybe it feels unrealistic to do all of those elements of the Seder. And that's okay, right? I think as parents, as grandparents, as educators, we're passing on our tradition to our kids. And it's really true that less is more. If we can do one great activity, one great moment, that is so amazing. And we can build on that each year, right? I think to have 1 or 2 incredible activities or moments and focus on 1 or 2 pieces of the Seder that are special to you can really be great. So the reason I started with what was your favorite part of the Seder is because I want to make sure you're making it fun for you, right? As you think about what activity to do, I don't want you to think, well, my grandson loves singing, but I don't really love the singing part, right? Because I want you both to be something you both love, because our energy is contagious, our storytelling is contagious, and so that's really important, making it fun for you. Judaism and the Passover Seder is connected to our rabbinical tradition, the tradition of rabbis. And if anyone knows anything about improv, put in the chat, what do you know about improv? What are some of the principles of improv? What is improv all about? I'm just curious. Share in the chat. About being funny, being spontaneous, love it, letting go, love it. Taking suggestions, right? Building off of other people's ideas, not scripted, being in the moment, work with what you have. Amazing. I love all these ideas. Keep them coming. Quick thinking. Probably the most famous one, and all of you are avoiding this cliche, is yes and. There it is, Susan, thank you. Yes and, right? The idea of saying yes and, meaning saying yes to what came before and adding on. And for me, this was one of the core connections that I found between Judaism, the rabbinical Judaism that I was raised with, that we all are part of, and improvisation, is that I think there's a way of looking at Judaism as a never-ending game of yes and, right? The rabbis in the Gemara, in the Talmud, these books of rabbinical study and commentary, looked at the rabbis that came before them, and they didn't say, nah, he's wrong. They didn't say, nah, he's right. They said, yes, that rabbi said that, that's valid, and here's what I think, right? Yes, the Torah says this, and here's my midrash, here's my tale about that. Yes, here's this moment of the story, and I'm going to add on to it. So the rabbis have been modeling for us the improv spirit of saying yes to what's happening, yes to what came before us, and adding ourselves. So I think feeling the liberty and the imperative to add ourselves to the story of Pesach, to the family's Pesach story, and to our Seders is so important. So I really want to empower you, whether you are a lifelong Jewish educator or a newly Jewish or just learning about Judaism or the Seder. We want your voice. We want your ideas. We want your story, right? You are part of this community. You are part of this Kehillah community, and your story and your ideas are so important. And so my final kind of thought about the Seder is kind of listening and creating together, right? That all of these activities, and I think all of the best Seders, involve a plan and some activities and some songs or moments or foods to offer people, but also creating it together, right? Creating memories together. And what we can talk about some of our special Seder memories later. And as Terry mentioned, we'll stick around afterwards for people that want to talk more and share their stories, Mel. But feel free to share in the chat anything that comes up as I'm talking. I love seeing what you're thinking about. So I want to play another game, if you'll indulge me, another one that could be fun. And these are most of these games are in the Mitzprov handout you're going to have, so you can be reminded of it. And as Terry and Sarah are amazing at doing, this is all going to be recorded, so you can watch it back and don't need to remember it or trust your memory. I love to be able to watch back. So we're going to play a game I love called Pharaoh Says. Pharaoh Says. Okay, raise your hand if you're familiar with Simon Says. People know Simon Says. Classic, right? Shimon Omer in Hebrew sometimes. Simon Says. Classic game. Pharaoh Says is a little bit like Simon Says, but it's inviting your creativity. And because Pharaoh is not really somebody that we like following, right? He is the sort of evil ruler that is enslaving the Jewish people. When Pharaoh says something, you're going to do the opposite of what Pharaoh says. So I'm going to say Pharaoh says something, and I want you to do whatever the opposite is for you. And the opposite can be creative, can be whatever you want, right? So Pharaoh says, everyone sit still. Pharaoh says, sit still. Oh, I see people rocking back and forth. No, oh, sit still. I said, sit still. Oh. All right. Pharaoh says, Pharaoh says, everyone make a sad face. Sad faces. That's what I want from everyone. What? Your faces aren't sad. No, sad faces. Make a sad face. All right. Write in the chat if you have ideas for what Pharaoh should say. Write in the chat if you have other ideas. Pharaoh says, bark like a dog. I don't think I'll be able to hear you, but bark like a dog. Yeah. What? Some of you aren't barking at all. What? Some of you are just sitting still. This is terrible. God. All right. Pharaoh says, don't clap. Don't clap. Don't applaud. What? Some of you listen to me, but some of you are clapping. Terrible. So that's Pharaoh Says. A lot of fun. And what I like to do with that game is to take turns being the Pharaoh and commanding the group so that different people can try on that persona of being the mean Pharaoh and everyone else can kind of rebel by going against them. I think it's a really fun way to bring out the part of this Pesach story that is about pushing back against tyrants, asserting our freedom and our community in a silly, really fun way, right? And letting each of us do that. I'd love to do another game. And this one is called Statues. Statues. So for this one, put into the chat a suggestion of a statue that you would like to see connected to Pesach. Now, there's real statues that we know what they look like, right? There's the Statue of Liberty. Everyone make the Statue of Liberty on the count of three. Try and be the Statue of Liberty. Ready? 1, 2, 3. All right, some beautiful standing proud statues standing up. Wonderful. So now let's put in the chat statues that you would like to see connected to the Pesach story. This could be a single word. It could be a phrase. It could be a character. I'll give some suggestions, and I'll use some of your suggestions as well. So how about a statue of Pharaoh? Let's be Pharaoh on the count of three. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Some real mean people. Sue had her hands up like Pharaoh's a big bear and scaring us. I love it. I love that. Wonderful. How about Moses? Looks like Susie suggested Moses. On the count of three, what would your statue be of Moses? Ready? 1, 2, 3. Oh, I see some people proudly holding their staff, other people standing up, other people just having that really proud face. I love it. Let's see what else we have. Oh, Barbara had Miriam and her timbrel and her instrument. Let's see that. I love that. All right, on the count of three. 1, 2, 3. Miriam and her timbrel. Oh, yeah. These are moving statues. These are boogieing statues. I love it. Amazing. Wonderful. Great. Thank you. Thank you. Wonderful. Give yourselves a round of applause again for playing that one. That was great. Thank you for playing with me. I really feel that it's best way to learn is to play. The best way to learn is to interact together and do it together, not just read something, but to really play. So thank you for playing with me. The statues game I love because it really invites everyone to participate and share their interpretation, and they don't have to speak, right? So whether you are 2 years old or 100 years old, we're not asking you to give a monologue as Miriam or as Moshe, which can be pretty hard. All I'm asking you to do is kind of come up with what their statue looks like, right? And celebrate what those might look like. And this is another fun one that you can invite everyone to suggest statues and everyone to become statues together. Really great way. And a way you can add to it as well is to compliment each other's statues. What you saw, what was your favorite? Sometimes I play this as the person that names the statue gets to pick who made their favorite version of it. So if I said Miriam and her timbrel, then everyone else makes that, and I get to pick who was my favorite Miriam, right? Which can be fun as well if you like a little friendly competition, which can be really fun. Um, so there's another Pesach game that I love to play that we won't play together on Zoom. This is more of an in-person game, but I really love, inspired by the classic Marco Polo. Wave your hands if you know Marco Polo. Classic swimming pool game. Oh, amazing. A lot of us passed down. So in Marco Polo, right, one person closes their eyes, they say Marco, and the other person says Polo, and they try and find them in the pool. So I like to play Moses, Pharaoh, Moses, Pharaoh. So one person plays the Pharaoh, the mean Pharaoh, and everybody else gets to play Moses, okay? And we pretend that we are in the middle of the ninth plague, which is Choshech, darkness, right? And the Pharaoh character says Moses, but with their eyes closed, whether they're outside or in a room where they can't hurt themselves. And then everyone else has to say Pharaoh, and they try and slowly walk and tap the Moses character. And if you get tapped as Moses, you become the Pharaoh. You become that in the next round. Really fun, really silly, great with different ages. As I said, the only thing you want to do is make sure that the room is clear, or that you're outside on the grass, or that you don't have a million chairs and tables that you'll bump into. So that's really a space that you have to set up for that game, but a lot of fun. Um, another Well, let me pause there. If there's any questions, put them in the chat. If you have any questions about any of these games or any of the ideas that I'm sharing, please put them in the chat so I don't go too fast with all the games that I'm sharing.
Andrew, could
As you're
I
thinking of,
jump in?
yeah,
Excuse
Terry,
me.
please.
It's Terry. Could you tell us how, or maybe you'll get to it, how you intersperse or integrate the games before, during the Haggadah, before, instead of?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think integrating these games and activities is up to you and what your family's goals are. The Magid section, right, where we're telling the story of Pesach, is a great time to integrate some of these. I think also when we're looking at the plagues as part of the Magid, a great time to jump into some of these. And I think it can really be something to kick off your Seder even before the official Seder starts. It can be really great to have some energy and get silly together and play together at the beginning, and at the same time have one at the very end. So I really love when leading Seders, when being a part of Seders, to have something really special that kicks off before we start any official proceedings or all the logistics of all the various foods, if you do a full traditional Seder, and have something to really look forward to at the very end. So for your family, this might be connected to one of the elements of the Seder. It might be a song that you always sing together at the very end. It might be a game that you want to play at the very end. So I think thinking about beginnings and endings is a great way to think about using these types of activities to bring things to life. And it could be also something that you kind of have in your back pocket to do anytime when you think the group needs some more interactivity. It's sometimes hard to predict what part of a Seder will take a long time. Sometimes the food is delayed. Sometimes the people are delayed. Sometimes if we're doing it on Zoom, our technology isn't working. And so these can be great tools to have in your pocket for any time. I think can be really great. Wonderful. And Terry sharing, yes, 10-minute Dayenu Seder, which is amazing. This book, what I like about Passover, is a PJ Library book that I love, which is a really simple overview of the Seder too. That can be a really easy way to follow some of the steps visually and can be super fun. I wanted to share, let me share a couple more games, and then I want to throw another question out at us. So another game that I love to play, connected to the Magid, is the hard-hearted Pharaoh. Hard-hearted Pharaoh. So this is another silly one where, if we're playing it in person, I love to have a circle and have Pharaoh be in the middle of our circle. If we're at a table, we can all be just at our spots in the table, and we pick who's Pharaoh, and we take turns being Pharaoh, just like in Pharaoh Says. And the goal here is a silly one. So in the story of Pesach, it tells us that the Pharaoh's heart was hardened, right? And then Moshe keeps trying to free the Israelites and his heart keeps hardening. And so the goal of this game, which is fun, is that Pharaoh's goal is to have a mean face and a stern face and never smile, never laugh. And everyone else's goal is to try and make the Pharaoh laugh. And the way we make him laugh is that we collectively pick the next plague, and they have to either act out the plague or say the word of the plague and try and do it such a silly way that the Pharaoh laughs, right? And we really know each other, know our friends. So we could start with blood, right? And say like, blood, right? Or maybe act out like we're blood. Or maybe just saying blood, but extending the O. So it sounds like blood, right? We can keep trying as a group and kind of going around until we make the Pharaoh laugh, right? And then we switch. And then once the Pharaoh laughs, he or she, we switch and the next person gets to be the Pharaoh and we move on to the next plague. So what I love about this game is that it's a lot of fun. And I think for me, stresses why having a hard heart is not good, right? Why having a hard heart and why the Pharaoh not being able to open up and see the humanity of the Israelites, to see the humanity of our people was so bad. And that one of our jobs as a Jewish people and the jobs of the Seder is to humanize ourselves, each other, and everyone in the world, right? We say that we want to see ourselves as if we ourselves left Egypt and escaped from Egypt, right? And so I think that for me, it is love that conquers, and it is our silliness and playfulness that can soften someone's heart, right? And so I love that activity for that. One last one we'll do, which is a little bit like statues, but I love to have more space and to run around, is just called anachnu. And anachnu just means we are in Hebrew, we are. And this is a game where we act out things in the Pesach story. So in the chat again, can people suggest things that they think anachnu should be? What would be fun to act out? It could be an emotion, could be a word, it could be a character in the story, it could be a moment in our Pesach Seder. What could anachnu be? Feel free to share in the chat. Oh, splitting the Red Sea, Barbara. I love that. So anachnu splitting the Red Sea. Can we all do that? Splitting the Red Sea? Oh, amazing. Okay. Shari said Elijah coming in. Let's all act out anachnu Elijah coming in. Okay. Where's my cup? Where's my cup? My cup. Funny story about Elijah coming in that I have to share at this moment is that one of my most memorable Seders was when my Uncle Paul managed to slip out during the Seder and then knock on the front door. And he's a scientist, and we opened the door, and his wife was in on this. And we opened the door, and he was wearing a full body yellow hazmat suit with his face completely covered, and said that he was Elijah. And I was about 8 years old when they did this. And this still stuck with me as one of the craziest, most memorable moments of the Seder, where Elijah came in and bizarrely was a scientist in a hazmat suit. So I had to share that story. It's just memorable Seders, and also just a moment to say, memorable moments are so great to create, whether it's on purpose, by accident, embracing the chaos, embracing the silliness. Things like that stick with you, right? I'm 41 now, but 30 some years later, that still sticks with me. All right, let's do a couple more of your suggestions. Let's see. Frogs getting into the food, says Sarita. Okay, frogs getting into the food. Let's act that out. Okay. I think that is the terrifying part we picture of the plague of frogs, right? We all picture eating and then frog lands in the soup or frog lands on our plate. That does sound like the scary part. Amazing. Terry said, Moses seeing the burning bush. Let's act that one out. Moses sees the burning bush. Okay. Oh my goodness. Oh, some joy, some fear, some confusion. Wonderful. And I think that's a good transition moment to share. Sarah, if we can queue up and get ready, one of the resources I want to share is a video that myself and the other Bible players have made. This is myself and my co-founder, Aaron, of the story of Moses and the burning bush. And we're going to share about 30 seconds of it just to give a taste. But the full video is about 6 minutes long and includes discussion questions at the end to talk about with your friends, with everyone at your Seder. So if we can cue up that video, Sarah, and share those 30 seconds with everyone, it'd be great.
Moses, I have come to you in the form of a bush to show you that you may find holiness in all things. Don't judge a bush by its cover or leaves. Just call me Hashem.
Wait a minute. Hashem? I know some Hebrew. Ha is Hebrew for the.
Right.
Shem is Hebrew for name.
Right.
So your name is the name?
Well, yeah.
Well, what should I call the land of Israel? Haaretz?
Actually, yeah.
Okay, very creative.
Well, listen, Moses, I need you to be the leader of my new people, the Israelites.
Wait a minute. What's the difference between an Israeli and an Israelite?
About 50 calories.
All right. So there you get a taste of the silliness. And as I said, that whole scene is about 5 minutes long and then a minute at the end of discussion questions. So Terry and Sarah will share that tomorrow, I believe. So you can watch that whole video if you want, and can be a great conversation starter with everyone and to think about Moshe as a character and as a person. I wanted to transition a little bit and think about one of the big elements that makes Pesach different and memorable are the foods, are the different foods that we eat. And I love, Phyllis, I love this story in the chat. Read that if you have not read that yet. That's very funny. The foods of Pesach. So I would love to ask you, what food do you associate the most with Pesach, with Passover? What food, when you think of Passover, when you think of Pesach, what comes to mind for you? I think for me, as you're putting in your answers, probably hard-boiled eggs, because I feel like that's the only time of the year I eat hard-boiled eggs, I think. But I love it because they're very filling and they go around. I see charoset. Some people say matzo ball soup. Yeah, eggs in salt water, amazing. Matzah, maror. Yeah, charoset. Wonderful. Matzah and gefilte fish, says Paula. Amazing. Yeah, so really great to think about. Fried apple rings. Oh, Susan. We got to go to Susan's Seder. That sounds fun. Fried apple rings. Cool. Tzimmus, chicken soup. Wonderful. So I think food is another great entry point to think about. What do you want to make special about your Seder? What traditions do you want to have or build on that you grew up with or that you've learned that or love? And again, it's not that we need to make 100 foods, and we're certainly not going to make everything on this list, but these are all great ideas of Pesach foods and foods that we could add to our Seder to really make them memorable. For me, I remember being introduced to gefilte fish at the Seder and how odd that was. And about my family, my mother's Jewish, my father's Christian. When my father grew up, he grew up in Corpus Christi, Texas, and didn't have any Jewish community there. He was Christian. And it wasn't until he got to freshman year at University of Texas in Austin that his freshman roommate was Jewish. And his mom sent him a giant jar full of gefilte fish in the kind of jelly preserved. And my dad was like, "What is that? I don't understand what your mom is sending you." Overwhelmed him at first. Now he loves it. Every Seder, he always loves gefilte fish, and it's a big part of the tradition. So it's funny how these things become part of the tradition. I wanted to share a couple games connected to food that I think are really fun. So one activity that I first did as an education director in Brooklyn, New York, and I loved bringing to the Seder, is something that we called a Maror photo booth. Maror photo booth. So Maror is the Hebrew name for horseradish, the bitter herbs. Some people eat Maror, and you can share in the chat if you prefer the kind of block, like a little chunk of horseradish, a little white chunk usually, or a lot of people get kind of a jar of horseradish. But either way, the idea, right, is that it's very, very spicy. It's overwhelmingly kind of spicy and really reach out. So Barbara loves the grated from fresh. That's great. And so what we did for the Maror photo booth, and I think could be really fun, is you have like one seat at your table, or what can be really fun to do, and I like to do, is take a box, like take a cardboard box and cut out a little hole to literally make a little photo booth, and take turns going in front of the photo booth and then taking as big of a piece of maror or horseradish as you dare, and have everyone laugh as you kind of make a face doing it. And if you're on Zoom or in person, it can be really fun to take a photo of the moment when it really hits you, when the horseradish hits you. This is something we did with all of our kids at our religious school, we had a Maror photo booth and they all had to go through. We just had this collage of it. So if you're gathering on Zoom or in person, it could be really fun, whether it's before the Seder or during the Seder, or another time. If you don't use photography and technology during the Seder, you could do it another time during Pesach. But to take photos of everyone and make like a photo book of the Maror photos, or just make a little digital collage. It's impossible not to make a ridiculous face when you're reacting to Maror if you have a bunch of it. So this is a lot of fun. Maror photo booth. I really recommend that. Another one is the Afikoman is so fun. So the Afikoman is a piece of matzah, but it's a piece of matzah that we make special. And I think that's fun about it. It's not that it's a certain special, different kind. It's a piece of matzah that we break as part of the ceremony and then becomes this special Afikoman, this special treasure. And I love that part of the Seder because we're imbuing a random piece of matzah with this very special role as the Afikoman, right? So I would love if you want to share in the chat ways that you did the Afikoman, ways that you hid the Afikoman or looked for the Afikoman. I'll share what my family loves to do. Growing up, my Uncle Paul would usually run the Seder, and he would break the matzah, he would make the Afikoman, but then it was up to us kids to kind of like snag the Afikoman from him. He would make it easy. He would like put it on his lap or put it in front of him on the table. And then we would actually have the kids hide the Afikoman, and then the adults would have to go look for the Afikoman. So it's kind of a flip. The traditional is that the adults hide the Afikoman and the kids go looking for it. I see some people saying playing hot cold to find the Afikoman is great. We flipped it so the kids were hiding and the adults were looking. Terry says we have one per child, or the competition's too fierce. Fake Afikomans, and you figure out which is the real one. I love that, Sarita. It's so funny. Another way to do it is, if you're doing something gathering on Zoom, you could hide it. You can see how many things are in my room. It could be fun to like hide it in plain sight and see if people can find it, or to move it around during the Seder. Also, to move it several times can be really funny. I'd love for people to share if your family did prizes for finding the Afikoman or getting the Afikoman, and if you did, what those prizes were, because that can also be really fun with kids to share. I was sharing with Terry and Sarah, we were planning tonight that with my family, when we would get the Afikoman, when the adults would get it, when we would get there, my uncle would get us all scratch lottery tickets, which is like very silly, but we just loved it so much. Think about how much fun it is to scratch things. And, it was only like $1, but it was just a fun activity. I see Robin, you said money. Great. Classic. Chocolate. Love it. Chocolate's always great. Gave all the kids inflatable matzo balls, Sarita. So fun. Tzedakah, books, small toys. I like, Sarita, like all getting the same thing. I think that's something I'm noticing, right? Is that with kids, it's important as much as we can to try and the same thing. Silver dollars. A couple people said, wow, very cool. Gold dollars, silver dollars. I love that. Getting creative with that was great. Wonderful. I wanted to share one more activity I love to do connected to food, and this is matzah. So Sarah, if we can get at least part of the video to share, and we can share this whole video, but with the Bible players, we did a matzah eating contest, which I think is a really fun thing to do during your Seder, and a really fun way to get a snack in the middle, or just have a lot of entertainment at the end. So Sarah, if you want to just share the beginning of the matzah eating contest a little bit, and then we can cut it off.
Grab your Seder plates and hide your firstborn, because it's time for a matzah eating contest.
Rule number 1. You must eat one entire piece of matzah as fast as you possibly can.
Rule number 2. Make the least amount of crumbs as possible.
Rule 3 is no water, but thanks a lot to the team. They're making me put some water right in front of myself so I can really feel the pain.
All right, here we go. Echad.
Stein.
Shalosh. Let's do it!
All right, that's probably enough of a taste. Wonderful. Thank you, Sarah. Wonderful. And we don't have to watch the end to see that I didn't win. So, but matzah eating contest can be really fun if you want to do it that way, where you each have one piece of matzah. And I love putting a glass of water. And we made the rule that if you drink a glass of water before you finish the matzah, you're out. you're knocked out, right? So it's a little fun competition. And that could be one that you do online or in person. Both ways is great. At my Seder this year, we're planning on having an adult round and a kid round and making the kids round a little bit smaller. So the adults are all going to do one full piece of matzah. The kids are going to do like a smaller piece of matzah, like a third of a matzah. Can be really fun. It's really fun to participate and really fun to watch. And I think a really playful way to feel a little bit of the suffering of our ancestors, right? The idea of matzah is that we were fleeing Egypt quickly. We didn't have time to let the bread rise. We didn't have time to bake regular bread. So instead we ate matzah, which some people like. Put in the chat if you love matzah. I'm always impressed. There's always a handful of people who love matzah. But for most of us, I think we really miss bread during this time, and you feel it, right? And matzah is this very tangible reminder of the suffering of slavery, the challenge of slavery, that things weren't as good. Mindy, matzah with butter. There you go. Yeah, share your favorite way to eat matzah. That's great. Yeah, Robin, matzah crack. Wonderful. Lots of great recipes can make it better. And some people love it year round. That's great. I don't want to yuck your yum. I would never yuck anybody's yum. But I think try eating a whole pizza of matzah without any water and without stopping. You will get sick of it. It is surprisingly hard. We all thought we could do it in under a minute. None of us could. None of us could. It takes a while. Wonderful. So I'd love to just share. I'm just looking at the time. Okay, great. We have a few more minutes, about 10 more minutes. So I want to share a couple other activities. And then, as Terry said, towards the top of the hour, I'm going to stick around so that we can ask some questions, share some experiences, share some ideas. Other people can jump in. So something else that I always love to suggest in general for creativity's sake, but for Pesach in particular, are balloons and scarves. I love balloons. I love scarves. I think these are the most fun, silly things. I've got some scarves right here. Scarves are super fun because balloons and scarves. Here's the first great thing about balloons and scarves. I'm going to be honest. You don't break things, right? You throw a balloon around, you throw a scarf around, your china is fine. Our house is fine. So I actually, when I travel with my 1 and 3-year-old, I bring uninflated balloons in my pocket all the time because it's the greatest toy to have at a house where you can just play with it and not break things, right? So with scarves at a Seder, it can be really fun to have scarves out on the table as kind of a fidget thing to play with. But also for the plagues could be really fun. Red is the most obvious for blood, right? It can be blood, and everybody throws their red scarves around on the table, right? And then we could have, green for locusts, right? And maybe black for choshech, for darkness. So if you could have different scarves for different plagues, that can bring it to life in a fun way, in a silly way, but also something that obviously you can use year round, which I love that. If you want to share in the chat other ways you love to bring the plagues to life, I'd love to hear that as well. Another fun way is to give pieces of paper to everyone in your group and act out the plagues, but give everyone a piece of paper with which plague they are on it, but don't tell the group which plague they are, and they have to act it out and kind of charades, get the group to guess whether they're locusts or darkness or blood. It can be really fun and really creative and silly. Thank you, Muriel. Yes, plague puppets, super fun, right? To play with puppets, to have them around can be amazing. If you have them out on the table, I love to have them out on the table for the entire Seder and then really use them at the moments that make sense in the Seder. But they're also there just in general. Another activity which Terry's going to share, but I just wanted to talk about it a little bit so that it makes sense, is for older kids. I wouldn't recommend this for my 1 and 3-year-old. They're not there yet. But for your older grandkids, this is what we call a stand-up bench activity. So my co-founder Aaron and I love to write jokes. And the idea of this is that it is stand-up bench jokes in Moses's voice. So it is setups for Moses. So like one of them is, you thought the first 10 plagues were rough. The 11th plague was going to be ... And so you invite kind of the creativity of you and your grandkids to do some writing, to share what you think would be funny and silly and memorable, and kind of teach at the same time, what the plagues were, but bringing it to life as well. Mindy, I love that idea. Oh my goodness. Splitting of the Red Sea, pepper and water, small dot of soap on their finger. Very cool. Very cool, Mindy. Thank you for sharing that. Has anyone else tried that? That's great. Um, Wonderful. I wanted to share that stand-up mensch. I want to share also, a game that I really love. For me, a lot of one of the themes of Pesach, I think like freedom is kind of the biggest theme that we all know. One of the other big things to me is Ezra, is help, is helping each other, because the story of Pesach, in a lot of ways, is about Moshe, bravely returning to Egypt and helping his people, and about God helping us, right? A strong hand, a yad chazakah, were brought out of Egypt and helping. And so there's a game that I love to play on Zoom called the Ezra game, the helping game. If you want to play this one with me, maybe I can just play this with one person. All you need to do is find an object nearby, but keep it off camera. Pick it up, but don't show me what it is yet. Just pick it up. So I'll find something over here as well. I'll play along. All right. Give me a thumbs up if you have an object so I can see who found an object. Terry's got one. Anybody else got an object for me? Susie. Okay, Susie. Amazing. Susie, can we unmute Susie Mate Callan? Hope I'm pronouncing her name close. So Susie, this is a game called the helping game, where we're going to make up a problem and we have to solve it with the object that we already chose. Okay, so Susie, we can go both ways. So why don't you make up a problem, big or small, and I'll solve it using the object I have, and then we'll switch and I'll ask you for help with something.
Okay, so you start first, right? You have an object.
I have an object already, but you don't know what it is. So you make up a problem. It could be, it's too cold, I need a coat, or it could be something bigger, whatever it is.
Okay. Is this something to eat that you have on hand?
Oh my goodness, Susie, you came to the right place, because I've got this coffee tin, and luckily for you, it is filled with paper clips. Now, paper clips don't seem delicious, but I tell you what, you walk around with a paper clip, you can poke anybody else's food, and now that's your food, and you can eat it. Delicious. Problem solved. Okay, Susie, so now I'm going to make up a problem for you to solve. Okay, Susie, the Pharaoh's chasing me, and I need to escape. Can you help me? Can you give me some Ezra? What do I do?
Well, can you run? Can you run away?
I can run, yeah, and you use your object, Susie. Whatever your object is, use that to help me, to use your creativity. Can you show us what object you picked?
Well, I picked my cell phone.
So how could you use your cell phone to help me? Help me, Susie.
Well, I can send you a message.
Oh, communication. So important. You can let me know where the Pharaoh is so I can avoid him. Round of applause for Susie. Thank you so much, Susie. So if you're doing something on the Zoom Seder, thank you, Susie, for jumping in. I know I just put you on the spot, but you did great. Everyone can play that. Everyone can find an object. You can kind of go around until everyone's gotten to solve a problem and had a problem solved. Because I think for me, another part of that Pesach story, it's so important, is we as a community helping each other, and we can practice helping each other in our creativity, bringing things to life. I see some wonderful other ideas of, acting out the plagues with different things. Someone wrote to me personally, but giving each child plastic bag of plagues. Amazing, right? So if you're into props and those toys, that's great. That's wonderful. All the creativity there sounds perfect. Another game connected to the plagues, since we're talking about the plagues, that I love is Pesach Tag, where one person plays Pharaoh, chasing the Israelites, chasing all of us. And the way I love to play it is that when you get tagged, you have to become one of the plagues. You have to act out being frogs or being blood or being locusts. And then you kind of terrorize everyone else until we switch pharaohs, and then we start over and you get to be new plagues. So it's fun to try and make all the plagues there. Wonderful. Great. I wanted to make sure that we have one last game I want to do all together. So before we do our last game, which is going to involve some movement and some music, I wanted to invite folks to share in the chat, what is one activity you're taking away from tonight that you can use for your Seder? It could be something that I've shared. It might be something that someone else shared in the chat. It might be a game or an activity or a ritual that you love, that you were just reminded of in being together and the creativity of this group. Share in the chat. Maybe it's a food you're going to make this year. Maybe it's a game, matzah eating contest. Wonderful. Just share in the chat. And I think it's great to commit to ourselves to try something out, right? All of them, Audrey, so ambitious. I love it.
Can you remind us some of the names? Like, there
Yes.
was one that was Don't Laugh, but I can't remember what it was named.
Yes. There was the hard-hearted Pharaoh was the one where Pharaoh's trying not to laugh. We played the close objects game with up close. I'll try and go in order of my plan. Pharaoh Says, where we do the opposite of what Pharaoh commands us. The statues game, where we have to act out statues with each other's suggestions. Moses Pharaoh, like Marco Polo. Anachnu, where we act things out together. The matzah eating contest, as you can see in the video. The order of the Seder, doing the Seder order. Maror photo booth, taking photos as we eat lots of maror. Guessing the plague, where we have it on a piece of paper and people have to kind of charades, act it out for the group. Afikoman ideas, the adults hiding, the kids hiding, different prizes. Balloons and scarves for the plagues. Pharaoh tag, the Ezra helping game, and the stand-up men sheet. If your kids are a little bit older, you're going to get that in your inbox. So that's a lot of things. And I see everyone's gotten a little something. The lottery ticket, Pharaoh Says, great. Any song suggestions, said Ruby and Dave's iPad. I can't believe the iPad's talking. It's very impressive. Anyone want to share in the chat? Share with me your song suggestions. There's so many songs that I love. With my family, we always loved Chad Gadya, and we would have different roles, and we would have to make the noises of our part when it came up to us. I also really love the Echad Miyodea song, right? And trying to do that fast, trying to do it all in one breath was a fun challenge that we did. Each person is a number, Mindy. Yeah, exactly like that. And the various hand motions for the order of the Seder. I can do that one more time again. And there's versions of that online we can find too, but it's Kadesh Urchatz, Karpas Yachatz, Magid Rachza, Motzi Matzah, Maror photo booth korech, Shulchan orech, Tzafun barech, Halel nirtzach. Wonderful. So thank you all so much for sharing those activities. Thank you for, amazing. Sarita's Googling for us. This is incredible. Amazing. Passover playlist. Thank you for sharing, Terry. Yes, there's some amazing Passover playlists with so many songs. Many of these folks have become my friends. They're amazing. So I don't want to name any of them to leave people out, but they're so good. I wanted to do one last game, speaking of songs, that celebrates a heroine of the Pesach story, Miriam. So in the Torah, it tells us that when the Israelites left Egypt, crossed the sea, Miriam led the people in song and dance, right? Debbie Friedman made a famous song about this. Some of you may know. But so I love to play a game called Miriam's Moves. And this is something you can play on Zoom or in person. I've done both many times. And it's where you take turns being Miriam and leading the people in song and dance. So you play a song or you sing a song, and then we take turns being Miriam. And when one person is Miriam, we all follow. So I would love if we could share some music, Sarah. And this will be our last game before our kind of Q&A. But share some music, maybe the song we started with today. And then we can highlight a couple people who are dancing. And when you get highlighted, we're going to follow your move. All right. So when the song starts, I can be the first one to dance. And then Sarah or Terry, you can highlight anyone you see dancing and we'll follow their moves.
And here I want to suggest that our friends put the view as onto gallery rather than speaker view in the top right corner so we can see each other. Switch to
stop
gallery
letting me
view.
hog your screen. Look at everybody. Look at all these beautiful punums. I've been in gallery view the whole time. I don't need to just see me. Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
So Sarah, if you want to play the opening song or the closing song, whichever, and then I will spotlight the
great
movers.
All right, you can think of your dance move now. Something easy enough that we can do. No splits, no cartwheels. All right, everybody, nothing crazy. Oh, I love Susan sharing in the chat while we're waiting. I have leftover matzah, save it. Kids do art projects with it. That's beautiful. Amazing. Such creativity. I love it. I always learn something. Can we hear any tunes? Do other people hear? I don't hear.
No, we haven't played it yet.
Oh, okay.
Sarah, you want me to just share my music? You got it.
and the women dancing with the tunes.
Terry, if you can,
Yep.
you can go ahead.
Sure.
Technical difficulty.
All good. All good. Well, if anyone, while we're waiting for music, if you want to share any questions in the chat or reflections in the chat, we're going to have a Q&A after this, but all right, so follow me first.
Baby Moses in a basket on the river. Baby Moses in a basket on the river Nile.
If you get highlighted, we're going to follow you.
Basket in a basket on the river. Baby Moses in a basket on the river Nile. Heather gives birth to a strong baby boy and hides him as he starts to thrive. Soon she has a plan to put him in the river Nile. The only way he'll stay alive. Baby Moses in a basket on the river. Baby Moses in a basket on the river Nile. Baby Moses in a basket on the river. Baby Moses in a basket on the river Nile.
All right.
I don't think we pulled that off so great. At least I didn't. I was sorry.
It's
I was
okay.
all thumbs there.
It's all right. I gave us a big challenge in person. In person, the it's even simpler because we don't need to worry about the Zoom giving us problems. In person, just sing a song, play a song, and take turns being the dance leader. But thank you all so much for spending some time. If you can stick around for the Q&A, would love that. But if not, thank you all so much for spending the time. And Terry and Sarah, thank you again. I'll turn it back over to Terry.
Okay, great. Andrew, fantastic. Stay with us because I think we all want you to come to our Seder to run it.
Yes.
Oh, you're available.
Yes, I'm available to be everywhere at once. Why not?
Love it. Thank you for so many wonderful ideas. I do want to open it up to our participants, our friends. Many of you have let us know that you love to share with one another. You've already been so generous in sharing in chat. And now is your opportunity. Raise your hand like Nancy just did, and we will unmute you and spotlight you and just tell us what you've done that your family, that your grandkids love. And we will learn from you and we will be grateful. All yours, Nancy.
Oh, great. Thank you. I didn't want to just go on. I asked my children to take pictures of our grandchildren doing different parts of the Seder. And through Shutterfly, I made a very, very simple board book. And what I did was I simplified the different parts of the Seder. This is Kadesh. And I had two of my grandchildren drinking wine, holding up the number 1 for the first cup. I have Orchatz, my granddaughter washing her hands, and all of the signposts. This is dipping a vegetable. This is another grandchild doing that. Basically breaking the middle matzah. And I just put this together. I did one last year when they were all a year younger. And I'm doing it this year. This is the 4 questions, and someone is really trying to make the number 4. I'm not going to go through all of it, but the 10 plagues was really the most fun one. I don't know if you can see a lot of wild beasts. One is wearing sunglasses for darkness. One is really destroying her baby doll for the slaying of the firstborn. So this is something that you can do. You can make a board book. You can do so many things very, very simply. And again, the last one was Nirtza. The Seder's over, and this grandchild has just had it for the night, so she's sleeping. So I made one for each grandchild, and it's sort of going to be a keepsake every year. We'll use it at the Seder because it'll be a very child's-focused Seder. And they'll have this every year. I'll make a new one every year. I just wanted to share that with everyone.
Love it.
Hello, Barbara from Framingham.
You found a friend. An old
Nancy,
friend.
that's
So
great.
cool. That's so
great.
Cool. While you're all jumping in, can I just share something that's very easy? I've actually got a photo up, if I may just share my screen. So these are two of my grandchildren, and what we did was, what I do is I put out a lot of Lego figures, Duplo figures, and I got this idea from Jonathan Schmidt-Chapman. Sarah, actually, maybe you could put in chat a link to the Passover Discovery Kit. It's in the run of show. And the kids, the grandkids just make the sea of reeds splitting. Last year we used blue construction paper, but this year I'm actually going to buy fabric and let them create the sea, and then the people going through. I also ordered felt squares. I'm gonna have them create little Moses and Miriam figures wearing a little cloak out of felt. Anyway, we open it up to other
Hi.
ideas.
Hi. Hi there.
Hello, Fran.
Hi, Fran.
Oh, actually, Joe and Fran.
Hi, Joe.
Hi. A few years ago, I basically had my wife's coat of many colors, a kaftan, a beach kaftan that has a hood. And we had sent away for a white beard, which fit perfectly. And basically, we sang when Israel was in Egypt land, go down Moses. I walked around from the kitchen on into the Seder, and the place erupted wild. We also had the plagues in masks, etc. And we actually had little frogs on the table and all, and the kids got a big kick out of it, and they asked if we could going to be doing the same thing again. So I'm going to get one of my sons to dress up as Moses and really pull a switcheroo on them for this coming Pesach.
Oh, great.
So fantastic, so wonderful. Sarita. Sarita.
Just
we can
Elijah's
see your
chair.
I love that. Just Elijah's chair. Oh, Sarita went to get something to show us.
Yeah, yes. So I made a very simplified story, and I printed it, with captions. And a lot of them are the plagues. Here's the boil plague. But what all of they have is I have cut out. See if I can find it. I have my we're putting this on popsicle sticks. We have Pharaohs, and we have Moses's. And so when we get to the parts where there are the plagues, we have, and Moses went to Pharaoh and said, and all the kids together can say, let my people go. But Pharaoh said, no, no, no. So they can have all the kids participating and telling, that interaction between Moses and Pharaoh for each plague. Because we have 3-year-olds and a 20-month-old. So we're got pretty little kids. And then when you were talking about the parting of the Red Sea, I actually found a couple of Lego Egyptian figures, and then some, to be the Israelites, people in robes and woman with something on her head, that kind of stuff. And I have felt. And so we're going to have them coming up to the sea and move the felt apart so that the sea parts. And then when they go across and the Egyptians are chasing after them, we can have the felt cover up the Egyptians, because that's kind of a gentler way of talking about something bad happening to the Egyptians. So those were the two things I wanted to share.
Sarita, thank you so much for coming on screen, on camera. I know that we've got some JGN people here, some of our leadership, and I know they've got fantastic ideas, and I'm hoping that they'll unmute and share. I'm not going to call them out by name. Who else would like to share cool ideas that have worked with your grandchildren?
How do I get in?
You can just unmute and speak, and we'll find you and spotlight you.
Hello.
Hello, is that Leah?
Yes. Hi, I'm tuning in from Montreal. So I just wanted to say hello. I think most of you are Americans, but we still love America.
Oh, thank you.
One of the things we've done at our Seder, I have grandchildren coming from Israel, Toronto, Thornhill. So we have different age groups at our Seder. And what we've done a couple of times is we go through the alphabet in English, because my Israeli grandchildren are too young to do it with the Hebrew alphabet. So we try to go from A to Z, and everybody goes around the table and names something with A, with B, with C. Some of the letters are hard to fill out, but they really enjoyed it. And every year they seem to come up with new answers. The other thing is we play a numbers game. Like 4 is very prominent at the Seder, 4 cups of wine, 4 questions. So we go through numbers that way. I have very old song sheets, which the adults would know the tunes, and the songs were revised. So the words reflect the Pesach theme, but the kids just get a very long chuckle of watching their parents act silly singing these songs from days long ago.
Wonderful.
Well, that's about it for now.
Listen, you just won my heart when you said A to Z.
Yeah.
Lee, I see Lee Hindler. I see you unmuted. Would you like to speak, Lee?
Yeah, it's really interesting hearing all these wonderful ideas for very young children. My grandchildren are no longer very young, and so it is a different kind of project to engage them. One of the things that we have done around Magid is we do the pots boiling over, only we do it with, you hand a piece of matzah to the next person, and so it engages everybody in the story itself and the telling of the story, which to me is absolutely the most important part. And we also and have props for people to do that as well. I also do a thing when my kids, when they were a little bit younger, had representative items for each of the plagues, and then I had some things like this. One of these things does not belong, and they would pick those out and put them aside and show that they understood that there were things that were plagues and things that weren't plagues. And there are a bunch of other things. I also like for the Afikoman, for if older kids are earning money in some fashion, or the younger kids find it and then they create a pot of money, the older kids decide by the end of the evening how that money should be spent on behalf of a justice project. So.
Stay, Lee. Sarah, don't unmute Lee, because I want to just explain to everyone who you are. And Lee is the co-founder and founding president of the Jewish Grandparents Network and the author of the very popular Dayenu Seder. I just put the link in chat again. So Lee, with gratitude for all you've done for the Jewish Grandparents Network.
Thanks,
Sandra.
My daughter has a traditional Seder, and the children are from 21 to 8. And the way she does the 10 plagues is fabulous. Each plague, like for the blood, she gives out red jello, and the kids at that point really like to eat a little bit, so they get a kick out of that. She also, for the boils, she has marshmallows and they stick them on their faces. And then for hail, they could throw the marshmallows all over. I also heard that my rabbi has the children serving the adults so that they get the idea of servitude. Also, there's a tradition among the Sephardim that they actually have like grasses and they beat each other around the table. So there's ways of engaging children. And of course, the songs at the end are fabulous. Who Knows One? Everybody loves that. The young children, the older children. Chad Gadya, I thought that was very good that you mentioned that they act out the different parts, the different sounds. And so it's a fabulous avenue for children to enjoy even the traditional Haggadah, which we sometimes find a little difficult.
Thanks, Sandra.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing that. We're going to end in about a minute or two. Is there anybody else who would? Laurie, would you like to put your video on, Laurie? Are you comfortable doing that?
Do that right now.
Okay, no problem. Please do go ahead.
The one thing we do for blood is we beforehand you get a clear glass and you get a clear vase of water, and beforehand you put a little red jello, just the dry jello, in the bottom of the glass where no one can see it, And when you pour the water in, the clear water turns to blood, and you get a great reaction from everybody.
Very cool.
Very great.
So I've done, can you hear me?
Yep.
Minnie? I've made a giant puzzle, and each piece of it, I think it's the Elijah's cup is the picture on the puzzle. And each piece of the puzzle is a different part of the Seder, and just kind of distribute those beforehand into people's booklets. And as we do each part of the Seder, whoever has that piece of the puzzle goes, and it's on the, big and separately on the floor, puts that piece of the puzzle down. And so by the end, it's kind of symbolic of, after doing all of this, being able to have the redemption of Elijah's cup. And so that's
this is most striking idea. How do you just tell us again how you make the puzzle?
I think I did this many years ago when my kids were younger, but not so young. But the nice part of this is that it involves everybody, older and younger. You take a big piece of poster board. That's what you do. You draw your picture, you make you draw the puzzle pieces, and then cut them out. And on the back of each puzzle piece, you do one part of the Seder.
Great idea.
It is, and it all comes together and it forms this whole.
Beautiful.
All right, let's take one more. Anybody else would like to share before we end our evening?
Hi, Terry. I have this book. We tell it to our children. It is it's done in play format. The back of it has stick puppets that can be cut out and used. But what we've done through the years is I've actually ordered costumes. So we have a Moshe costume, we have a Pharaoh, and I have a lot of princesses. So we've got a lot of princesses. The youngest one we have bring a doll, so that's baby Moses in the basket. So there's a lot of interactive stuff, and it's fun. I think what I'm going to do this year is take some of this, and I have to cull it down a little bit because it is very long, but it's very child-centered. And thank you for all these great ideas tonight, everybody.
Carol, thank you, Carol. Such a good friend of JG and a supporter. I think we have to end. So I'm going to officially declare our gathering over. Andrew, we are so grateful to you for all your wonderful ideas. To all our friends, tomorrow morning, keep a lookout for our follow-up email. You'll have the recording, you'll have all Andrew's ideas, plus I think there are another 50 more probably.
There's a lot more. Yeah.
There's a lot more. So thank you for your generosity, Andrew, in sharing all your intellectual property, frankly. And we will also, so it's the recording, we've got a survey. Sarah, you did. Sarah put the survey in chat. We really learn and appreciate any feedback you can give us. This is how we continue to improve our programming. And to all of you, thank you so much for being here. Andrew, thanks again. And for those of you who were brave enough to share your ideas, we so appreciate it. We wish you all a Zis Pesach, and stay in touch, and thank you all for your support of the Jewish Grandparents Network.